Morning, guys. Good to see you all. We're live now. I'm seeing that we've got a good number of us tuned in already, which is great to see. I'm trying things a little bit different today. I've got the camera a little bit further back, so the camera's over here, but my laptop's here. So it looks like that I'm looking away from the screen quite a lot, or away from you guys quite a lot. That'll be the reason. Hope you're all well, guys. I'm seeing a lot of us are tuned in. Now, some questions. Oh, I've just kicked the camera. Some questions that have been happening already this morning seem to be around literacy. You do have a literacy task, but it's tied in with a maths task, so we've put it in other curricular areas. Remember that it's a Friday, so you only have 2 tasks. We only post 2 tasks on a Friday because normally it would be a half day. So look in other curricular areas, not in literacy. That's where it is. Okay. Exciting news from Alyssa here. Apparently her tooth has come out. I hope the tooth fairy is kind to you. Now, actually, I've just had to restart my computer, so I'm just going to pull up my notes quickly because I've not had a chance to do that yet. In the meantime, refreshing your memory while this is loading, refresh a little bit about our words of the week for the past wee while. So can you remember what the words of the week are? All 3 of them so far have begun with T. So we've had tenacious. Can you remember what that means? Would you be able to use it in a sentence? Think of the kinds of maybe animals that you might describe as being tenacious. We've had the word tangible. I talked yesterday a little bit about how a particular character in a show that I was watching was a very tangible character because of how well acted she was. And then this week, our word of the week has been trepidation, which is basically to do with being anxious. Anyway, guys, plan for today. Just a couple of little admin things, first of all. So my class, after this, we're going to have our Philosophical Friday discussion. So whenever this live stream ends, that's when we're going to have our Philosophical Friday meeting. Next week, obviously, there is an in-service day for us teachers on Monday, so I will not be able to live stream on Monday. I'm actually going to be doing other things with the rest of the teachers. So instead, I'm going to live stream next week on Tuesday and Wednesday. Okay, and the meetups with my class. So I've been meeting in reading groups. The groups that I would have met on Monday, I'm going to meet you guys on Tuesday instead. So Race Against Time group and Dodos Are Forever group, instead of having your meeting on a Monday, you're going to have it on a Tuesday, guys. Okay, that's the plan. Just looking through the comments, making sure I'm not missing anything. Comments are going a wee bit behind where I am, but that's fine. Right, guys, so that is that's a couple of the admin things. The final little admin thing is about jotters. Now, Miss Ireland and Mrs. Robertson have been really, really good with trying to get jotters out to people that have said that they need it. However, I understand that some of you might still be needing jotters. Now, I need you to listen to the instructions carefully about this. At 12 o'clock, so basically once I've a little bit after I've finished my Philosophical Fridays with my class, I'm going to head down to the school and I'm going to drop a small supply of jotters down by the office. It will not be enough for everyone in the whole year group. However, if you are if you don't have paper that you can work on at home and you're in desperate need of a jotter, you can head to the school and you can collect a single jotter there. Now, I've only got lined jotters at the moment, so it's still just lined ones. I've not got any square ones to hand out. I think Mrs. Robertson is going to carry on, and maybe a couple of the other PSAs. I don't really know how it's working, but I think there's plans to try and put something in place to deliver jotters in some cases. However, for the most part, you should just be able to pick them up from the school. However, it is really, really important that you practice social distancing at all times. So if you were down there and you came across someone else that was at the school at the same time as you, really important that you are maintaining social distance and that there's no risk of you coming into contact with one another. So I need you to take that seriously, guys. Otherwise, it's on my head. If I've told you to go down to the school and then you guys end up getting a virus from one of your peers, then that's kind of my fault there. So please take it seriously. Please maintain social distance. Okay, guys, right. A couple of things about class curiosity tree quickly then. So just one or two topics that came up. Let me pull it up here. One was from Hamish here, and he was asking if parallel universes might exist, which they might. We talked about that before. I think that was Ellie's question. If they might exist, would they also have stars and planets like ours? And if so, would it be possible for life to exist? Well, parallel universes might be entirely different to us. So our universe works using certain rules. These are the rules of our whole universe. So things like gravity, electromagnetism, all these forces that you learned about, those forces were created at the point of the Big Bang. There's other forces as well. So you've got the nuclear strong force and the nuclear weak force. These are things that hold atoms together inside your body, or inside this table, or the computer or tablet that's in front of you. So all these values, the values of these different forces, how strong each one of those forces are, was basically started at the Big Bang. However, a different universe would have maybe started a different way, and so it might have completely different forces. For us, gravity pulls things. In a different universe, gravity might push things. The nuclear strong force and the nuclear weak force hold atoms together in our galaxy, in our universe. However, in some universes, maybe it wouldn't hold things together, or maybe it would hold things together even better, maybe too much. So it would be entirely possible for there to be literally nothing that could work at all in other universes. However, there might be universes that work even better than ours. Life fits itself to the universe it finds itself in, or so we figure. So if that's the case, then surely there could be life in other universes, but it would have evolved to suit the laws in that universe. We've evolved to suit these laws, the laws that we find ourselves having to deal with. But something in another universe, well, it would have to have evolved to suit that universe's laws, which is kind of cool. I'm just noticing one or two coming up in the comments here. This is quite a common one. What came first, the chicken or the egg? Definitely the egg. The egg by a long way. So eggs have been around for a very long time. Fish lay eggs. Amphibians lay eggs. All reptiles lay eggs. And all of them are older than birds are. So eggs came first long before chickens did. And long before other species of bird did. So yeah, here's another fun fact though. Chickens are technically dinosaurs. All birds, every single bird you see out there is a type of modern dinosaur. So there were several types of dinosaurs in the past. You had things called theropods, which are these T-Rexy or raptory ones, like two wee arms like this and two legs for running on. You have sauropods, which are the great big long-necked ones. And lots of other ones as well. Then there's a group called the avian dinosaurs. The avian dinosaurs, they're birds. They are a type of dinosaur, which is kind of cool. However, at the same time, a lot of the things that we think of as dinosaurs actually aren't. So the likes of the pterodactyl or the pteranodon, all these great big winged creatures with a great big beak at the front, they're not dinosaurs. They've never been dinosaurs. They're what are called pterosaurs. You've also got things like the mosasaurus, which is a mosasaur, not a dinosaur. So there's stuff way back in the past is actually kind of more complicated. Not everything was a dinosaur in the past. Yes, Callie, I see that you've dyed your hair ultraviolet. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I'm sure it's wonderful. Yeah, I'm noticing a lot of comments in the chat about people dyeing their hair. Sounds cool though, guys. I'm looking forward to seeing some of it. I guess you might as well might as well make the most of being able to do these things in lockdown. Need to make our fun some way. Okay, one other question. I don't want to spend too long on it, but this next one's kind of a biggie, and I'm worried that I'm going to end up going down the rabbit hole a wee bit. And you know, anyone who's in my class, you might have figured out that I love science. And two particular types of science that I really, really love. One is stuff to do with space, stuff to do with cosmology, so stuff about the Big Bang and the distances between planets and stars. I love all that stuff. But another thing that I'm really, really passionate about, my first love in science, is evolution. The way animals, not just animals, but plants, living things, organisms, have changed over time to become the way they are now. So, Freddie asked a question. I can't even remember exactly how he phrased his question. Oh no, I think it was as simple as, why are there different types of apple? Why are there different types of apple? And someone posted a reply to that, which was not a silly reply at all, but it was a wrong, not even a wrong reply actually, because aspects of it are right. Let's say an incomplete reply. So one of the responses that was posted was that apples are different in different places because of the sun. There's more sun in some places, there's less sun in some places. But actually, that's not really it. It all comes down to evolution. They have different genes. So let's look at why. It sounds like a really simple question. Why are there different types of apple? Just because there is. But no, actually, it's a really cool answer, I think. So you guys know that I've never been good at art, but I've done a really, really simple illustration here that will hopefully come up shortly. Let me just pull it up on ActivInspire. And hopefully this will come up. Oh no, my webcam's not going to come up though. That's going to be annoying. So you might not be able to see my face. Let me pull up my face quickly. It's just going to take a wee second for me to do this. No, not display capture. I don't want that. Sorry, I'm talking to myself here, and I know you can't see anything that I'm doing. But I'm just going to add my webcam, and my face is probably going to start off far too big here. There we go. It's not too big. That's fine. Right. We'll shove me down here somewhere, off to the side, where I can just talk about things a little bit. Right. So here is my simply wonderful artwork here, and we've got 5 different types of apple, 5 different varieties of apple. And let's say they all grow in different parts of the world. So, we've maybe got an Asian apple, and an African apple, a European apple, a North American apple, and a South American apple. And they're all completely different. They're all related. They're all apples. Obviously, in real life, we don't get apples in all those different places. But let's imagine that we did. We did get apples. Is that one blue? I thought it was pink. Oh well, there's my color vision for you. Is there a pink option here? Let's see if we can dye it. I was going for a pink lady sort of thing. Is that one pink? You guys can tell me in the comment, or maybe that one is. Is that pink? Tell me if I've made it any better at all there. But you're having to put up with my poor color vision there. I might have just made it a different color of blue there. I apologize. But pretend that we've got a pink lady in there as well. So we've got all those different types of apples. Okay, and of course they'll all have slightly different qualities. So you can see that some of them are slightly rounder, some of them are slightly more stretched, slightly more oblong. Some are red, some are yellow, some are green, some are pink. And of course they would have different tastes, different textures as well, because they're all different. They all have different genes, different DNA in them that gives them these qualities. So just like you have different DNA that gives you different hair color, different eye color, different body sizes, body shapes, different personalities and intelligences and all these sorts of things, it's the same with apples. They have things that give them different qualities. So let's say that, we've gone back to the wrong color of apple there. Let's say that we've got these 2 apples here. So one is a nice round red apple, a sort of nice apple-looking apple, but it's very bitter. It's very, very bitter. However, we've got one that we think doesn't look very nice. It's kind of it's not the shape that we're wanting, but it is very sweet. It tastes good. We want something that looks round and red, but is also sweet tasting. So if we were a farmer, we could take these two different apples and we could let them have babies together. Now, we've learned about reproduction already, but not just animals reproduce. Plants reproduce as well. Okay, so we need to make these two apples have babies. So when they do that, we're going to end up with a whole load of different apples here. We might have some that are just like the parent. So exactly the same as the parent. So this one here is exactly the same as one of the parent apples. This child here is exactly the same as the other parent apple. But then we might have other ones as well. We might have one that has the look of one of the apples, but the taste of another apple. We might have one that has the look of the other apple and the taste of the other apple. However, that would be straight away getting what we want, and I'm not quite up for that just yet. So let's say we had one that was it got the taste that we wanted, but not the shape. So we've got a couple here that have the taste, like so. We've now got a sweet red apple, but the shape is too stretched. Well, what we've got now is we've got the next generation. So these two apples here, let me draw on. These two apples, when they basically had babies together, they got together, they made their little apple babies, and we ended up with a whole load of different apple varieties. Like so. And one of them is now a little bit closer to the one that we wanted. We've got one that at least is red and sweet. It's not round red and sweet, but it's red and sweet. It's got 2 out of the 3 properties. So what we could do now is we could take these two apples. We've got one that's round and red, but it's bitter. And we've got one that is red and also sweet. We could breed these together and we'll get slightly different varieties again. And hopefully among that, somewhere, we'll probably have another one that's bitter and round and red, just like the last parent. And we'll probably have another one just like the other parent that is red and sweet, but the wrong way around. But probably somewhere in there, we'll have a third one that is a bit of a mix. And finally, we've got the characteristic that we wanted all along. So by breeding them, by basically allowing only the ones that we want to have babies, we then get the characteristics that we want. We've actually what's called this is called artificial selection. So we as humans have kind of tricked nature by only letting certain things have babies. We've managed to get them to have exactly the characteristics we wanted them to have. And actually, I did this with some fruit flies just a couple of years ago. I was with a P7 group. Apples can give birth in a sense. They have. I'm just looking at the comments here. But apples, obviously, they get pollinated by things like bees, and then they grow a seed, which is a mixture of the female apple's genes and the male apple's genes. Anyway. That's just a wee aside. But I actually did this with a group of fruit flies just 2 years ago. I had a P7 group, and I had some fruit flies that had wings, but they only had one colour of eye. And then I had fruit flies with another colour of eye, but with wings. Now, what I wanted was fruit flies with lots of different colours of eye, but with short wings, no wings, so that they couldn't fly. I didn't want them flying around all over the place. Otherwise, anytime I did an experiment with my class, there'd be fruit flies everywhere. I wanted them to be wingless, so they could only crawl. And eventually, by only letting certain ones have babies together, I was able to make it so all of them lost their wings, but they had lots of different colours of eye, which is kind of cool. So that's evolution. That's all evolution is. It's letting some things have babies and other things not have babies. And that is actually what has made us the way we are as well. Except there's not been someone saying, oh, only you two can have babies, only you two can have babies. Instead, it's been nature deciding, well, you've survived longer, you're big and strong, you're more likely to have babies. You're a really fast runner, you got away from that lion that was chasing you, you can have babies. And so what we end up with is nature making something that is good at surviving. In other words, the animals that we see around us now, they're all suited for their environment. Anyway, I went way down the rabbit hole there. I said I would, but hopefully that makes sense. That's basically the way evolution works. And I think it's pretty fantastic. I think it's really, really interesting. So thanks, Freddie, for that question. Just a very simple question. How do we end up with different types of apple? Evolution is the answer. And evolution is just about letting some things have babies and stopping other things having babies. It's as simple as that. Anyway, guys, so that's the class curiosity tree. Couple of things very quickly then. We're going to do, I'm just going to talk to you quickly about letter writing. Okay? Now, the task for today, I think it's, in fact, it's not really letter writing at all. It's actually note-taking that we're looking at today. So, well, unfortunately, I think I have a mini human coming in to join me. Hello, Xander. How are you? My kids are just coming into the room. I think he's just putting something in the bin. Anyway, letter writing and note taking. So what you're going to be doing today, I think it's a really good task. You're being asked to watch something on BBC Bite Size, and this is just a little piece of information. It's a sort of informational video. Do you want to come and sit with me? You can sit with me. Okay, you're going to help me talk to the boys and girls here. Don't be distracted by this, but it's going to keep her happy. Right, so you've got a video about, it's about a couple of different things. So it starts off being about place value, and then it goes on to talk a little bit about letter writing. And the letter writing one I think is actually really, really good. It covers a lot of the different things about letters and how to do them. Okay? What you guys have to do is you have to take notes on that video. And that's really the skill that you're learning. So what you're learning to do is to take effective notes. Now, the video is really, really good. It's a really good, really to the point video. Okay? To take effective notes, though, there's a few things you have to do. First of all, it's really, really important that you listen to the source very closely. When you're taking notes, paying attention to what's actually being said is really, really important. And you have to note down really what the key points are. Really importantly, though, make sure you're putting it in your own words. Put things in your own words, because that's the way that you'll remember it. Never, I would genuinely say this, never copy down the exact words that the person is saying. Always think, well, what does that mean? And can I put it in my own words? Oh no, don't touch the camera. No, you come over here. I've got another one joining me. Don't move that chair. Come here. Come here. That's fine. Right. You can just stay over here as well. We've got another one. Right. So don't be distracted by these guys. I know I am, but you don't. Mummy, could you go and sort this one out? I did say this would happen at some point. So yeah, don't write down the words that they're saying. Write it in their own words. It's okay. She can stay. She's being good. The other thing is, oh no, that's pretty much everything. Sorry, I've become horribly distracted. So I'm going to cover two ways of writing notes just now. So one of the ways that you can do it is using what I call indented bullet points. Okay, so you all know what bullet points are. You write a point, then you write another point, then you write another point. However, indented bullet points are used to group different types of facts together. Okay, or kind of grouping related facts together. So when you watch the video later, when you're actually watching the video, what you'll find, what the guy says is he starts off discussing why it's important to write letters. So I've basically gone through the first minute and a half of the video, and I've written the notes that I would write down for the first minute and a half. So he starts off, why should you write a letter? And he gives some reasons. Well, you might write it because it's a complaint letter. You might write a letter to question a decision that's been made, or to make a travel reservation, or to write to an employer. Now, you can see here why to write letters in my note here. This has just kind of become a heading. It's like a little heading here, and all the other information is directly underneath it. Okay, so I've got all the other information related to this indented a wee bit, kind of moved in a little bit to the side. So that's what an indented bullet points are. You start off with your main header in one bullet point, and then everything else comes underneath that. So why do you write letters? Moving in a wee bit, well, for complaints, or to question a decision, travel reservation, or writing to an employer. Then they go on to a completely different point. The guy says in the video, you would dress up for a job interview if you were having it. So when you write a letter, you're basically dressing up your words in the same way. I thought that was quite a good point. When we write a letter, we write in a very specific, formal sort of way, and you're dressing up what you're writing, just like you're dressing up, for a job interview or something. So just like you could dress up your clothes to look smart, you can dress up your words to make you sound smart. I thought that was quite a good point, but because it's not related to anything, I've got that back in a separate bullet point all on its own. Then he goes on to discuss some of the features of the letter. So he gives some rules that you have to follow. And so what I would do is I would put the rules, and I've not written all of them there because it's now over to you to actually listen to the video. The rules you would put indented a little bit underneath the rules section. So you can see how this structure can be used to group related facts together. Now, personally, this is the way I write my notes. It's the way I've written notes for years. It's the way I got myself all the way through, in fact, basically from standard grades onwards. So that's from about, I probably started in S2. So ever since I was in S2, a little 13, 14-year-old, this is the way I've been doing my notes. And for me, it really works. And it got me all the way through my hires, all the way through university. For me, it's a solid strategy. However, that's not the only way to take notes. There's other ways of taking notes. And one other strategy I'm going to give you, I don't like it as much, but some of you will, is what's called a mind map. So this has the same sort of information, but you can see it's laid out differently. Now, I don't like it as much because I think it takes up too much space. And I think if you want to add to it, it gets very cluttered very quickly. Bullet points, I think, stay quite ordered, whereas a mind map, I think, gets quite messy quite quickly. Is it even all on the screen here? Probably not. No, it is. I've managed to get it all on the screen. So we've got letters as the main topic in the middle, and then we've got a branch coming off of it saying, why write a letter? And we've got the same things. Complaining, questioning a decision, travel reservations, writing to your employer. Those might be reasons to write a letter. I've got the point about you should dress up your words for a letter. And then we've got the rules to follow, and this would branch off into several of the different rules there. Now, you can see already I'm kind of running out of space. So if this is a 15-minute video, and I've only done a minute and a half of the video here, you can see how quickly I'm running out of space. However, for some of you, that might be the more comfortable way of making notes. It's completely up to you how you make notes, guys. It's about finding something that works. And the whole point of notes is that it's something that will stick in your head. So try a couple of the strategies. And if you want a wee challenge, what I would say is maybe try one style of note-taking for the first part of the video, which is on place value, and then another style of note-taking for the next part of the video, which is on letter writing, and compare, find out which style of note-taking worked best for you. Be a little bit what's called introspective. Look within yourself and find out what thing works for you. Okay, guys, so that's our note-taking. I'm just coming back to the comments here. I don't think there's too much that I've missed in the comments, because I know I'm kind of I'm often looking at the camera away from the screen. I'm kind of looking at other things at the same time. But yeah, that's your note-taking. Really look at that sort of stuff. I've just noticed a quick question from Liam here. Mr. Green, where do you put the address? In a letter, your address, your own address, goes at the top right of the letter. That is, and actually he goes into the details of this in the video. So what I would say is, if you can, watch the BBC bite-sized video. It is a very good video. I watched it this morning before coming on here. But if this is my page here, my address would go up here. So at the top here, I'll write a wee bit smaller. It would be Mr. Max Green, and it would be 17 Street, and I live in Edinburgh, and I'm EH99 8DZ. I don't know, I'm just making it up there, but that's my address. And then the place that I was sending it to, let's say I was writing to I'm writing to Miss Lindsay at her classroom in Davison's Main. So I would say I would start by saying Miss Lindsay, and it's Davison's Main's Primary, Corby Hill Road, EH45DZ. That's where her address would go, the address I'm sending it to. I should say the date that I'm writing the letter would go underneath my address here. Okay, so that's the way it would be laid out, and then I'd be starting my letter there. Dear Miss Lindsay, I am writing to you, yada, yada, yada. You get the idea. Anyway, giving you too much information there because that's all in the video that you should be watching. But I understand not everyone can watch the video. You do need to sign up to BBC Bite Size to do it, but I'd encourage you strongly to do that. Get your parents' permission first of all, but you do have your own email addresses and you could use that to sign up. Okay? So make sure that you're getting onto that if you can. The meeting, Isa, is supposed to be in about 7 minutes, but we might run over just a little bit because very quickly we're going to talk briefly now about space. And it's actually kind of a maths thing a wee bit as well here. It's a mixture of space and maths. So you wanted to squeeze in here. Let's go back to the main screen here, and we can make things a little bit bigger here. Full camera. There we go. Oh, you're a bit see-through. That doesn't work very well, does it, Sky?
No.
In fact, we're both a bit see-through. That's odd. Maybe let's go back to the way it was. You didn't notice it as much down there. Right, okay. So, space then. I want you to imagine that you're in a car, just a normal car, and you can drive at the speed of 60 miles an hour. 60 miles an hour. How long do you think it would take you to get into space? Make your guess in the comments below. Where does space start? How long if you were able to drive vertically up, how long would it take you to get to space? So some people saying a couple of days, some people saying 1 hour. The answer is actually just an hour. Yeah, space starts just outside our atmosphere. So you're talking about 100 kilometers up. So 60-ish miles. Okay, I'll tell you what. Let's say we're doing it in kilometers. So let's not say that we're doing 60 miles an hour. Let's say we're doing 100 kilometers an hour. So you'd get into space, the start of space, in about an hour, which I think is kind of cool. Space is closer than you think, right? It's just 100 kilometers that way. Okay, what about the International Space Station then? How much further do you think that is? People in my class might remember this. How long would it take, if it's only an hour to get to the start of space, how long would it take to get to the International Space Station, do you think? Make your guesses now. 4 hours, 3 hours, 2 hours, 5 days? Well, actually, and this varies because sometimes it's closer to space, sometimes it's closer to the Earth, sometimes it's farther from the Earth, but actually only about 3.5 hours. It's about 350 kilometers up. So 3.5 to 4 hours, sometimes as little as 3 hours, not long at all. So the International Space Station ain't that far. which is kind of cool. Okay, in that case, so an hour to get into space, 3 hours to get to 3 hours to get to the International Space Station. How long to get to the moon, do you think? Here's your next challenge. How long would it take to get to the moon? In the meantime, I'm noticing a question from Freya here. When you're in a plane, how far up are you? You're usually only about a mile up. About a mile. So some people saying 4 days, 2 weeks, 3 days, 7 hours. Lots of different guesses here. Okay. Well, I can tell you that in the Apollo 11 rocket, it took them 4 days to get to the moon in a rocket. For us, well, we can do the maths quickly. I can tell you it's 250,000 miles. That's 250,000 miles. And we're going to divide that by 100 because we're going 100 miles an hour. So in terms of hours, that should be 2,500 hours. 2,500 hours. What's that in days? Well, we're going to divide that by 24. That's 104 days. 104 days of driving to get to the moon. So that is quite a bit longer, really quite a bit longer. And that's if you were driving at 100 kilometers an hour. So, you know, a fairly fast rate there. So 250,000 kilometers to the moon. I'm just going to double check that my figures are right there. Distance to the moon, I'm pretty sure. Well, it's actually further than that. Sorry. I thought it was only 250,000 miles. It's actually more. So get to the moon. Let me put in my updated estimate. 160 days. 160 days of solid driving to get to the moon. So if you think space starts really, really close to us, really close. Just 100 kilometers that way, you can get there in an hour. 3 hours to the International Space Station. But to get as far as the moon, 160 days of traveling. So my challenge for you, I'm going to leave this to you to work out, but look up in kilometers, how far away is the sun? How far away is the sun? And can you work out, if you were driving at 100 kilometers an hour, how long would it take you to drive to the sun? There's a challenge for you. I'll give you a head start. Let me look up the distance to the sun for you quickly. Distance to the sun. It is 150 million kilometers. So before we were just dealing with thousands. The moon is 384,000 kilometers away. The sun, 150 million. So can you work out? And I'm about to sign off. I'm not going to give you the answer. It's for you to work out. But if you were in a car, how long would it take you to drive all the way to the sun? Could you do it in your lifetime, do you think? I wonder. Anyway, guys, on that note, I'm going to sign off. And my class, I'm going to see you shortly on Teams for Philosophical Friday. So get onto that if you can. Anyway, guys, so I'm just checking the comments there. Nothing else I really need to chat about. Take care of yourselves. From about 12 o'clock-ish, there will be jotters ready for you at the school. Practice social distancing if you're picking them up. If you missed that memo at the start because you weren't here yet, I'm putting jotters out, but you have to make sure you're keeping distance away from each other. Anyway, take care of yourselves, and I'll speak to you all soon. Cheers, guys!